The fight against climate change, once a collective global endeavor requiring urgent action, is faltering. Decades of warnings from scientists and increasingly severe climate impacts have not dislodged institutional inertia or the entrenched interests prioritizing short-term profits over planetary health. While governments and corporations continue to make public commitments, in reality, the retreat from climate action is accelerating. Major oil and gas companies, after brief commitments to green branding, are scaling back renewable investments and weakening emission targets. Governments are rolling back climate policies, delaying transitions, and promoting fossil fuel expansion. Financial institutions facing political backlash and legal threats are withdrawing from climate alliances and ESG principles. Market forces also play a role, as seen in the coal resurgence in the U.S., driven by natural gas prices. The evidence is clear. Shell abandoned its 2035 emissions target while promoting LNG expansion. BP's new leadership slashed green investments and significantly increased oil and gas output, citing shareholder pressure. U.S. giants like ExxonMobil and Chevron never truly embraced meaningful targets, focusing instead on efficiency and carbon capture while continuing fossil fuel expansion. Across the board, profit has triumphed over sustainability. Governments are no better. State-owned oil companies, Saudi Aramco, PetroChina, Gazprom, Equinor, are expanding production despite international climate goals. The U.S. rolled back environmental regulations, ramped up drilling permits, and paused climate science programs. The U.K. delayed its petrol ban and weakened home heating targets, all while insisting it remains committed to net zero. These actions expose the fundamental gap between rhetoric and reality. Finance has followed suit. Major banks and asset managers like J.P. Morgan and Bank of America exited climate alliances in 2024 to 2025. Political pressure, especially from Republican-led states, branded ESG as woke capitalism and enacted laws penalizing firms perceived as anti-fossil fuel. Lawsuits added to the chilling effect, and with climate alliances being voluntary, many institutions chose the path of least resistance. The result? A massive setback to the transition. Meanwhile, economic fluctuations are quietly driving regressive decisions. In early 2025, coal-fired electricity generation rose across the U.S. as gas prices nudged higher. This market-driven return to coal, the most carbon-intensive fuel, reveals how deeply fossil fuels remain embedded in the energy system and how easily progress can reverse. Globally, coal use is also growing. China and India expanded coal capacity in 2024. Indonesia, Kazakhstan, and the Philippines increased coal consumption, often citing cost or energy security. These decisions, although economically rational in the short term, push us further from climate stability. The root issue? A global pattern of prioritizing short-term profit over long-term survival. Corporations chase quarterly gains, politicians avoid policies that appear costly to voters, financial institutions fear political blowback. Market volatility nudges us toward dirty fuels. None of this is due to scientific ignorance or technical limitations, it's structural. The systems we rely on reward immediate returns and externalize the cost of climate inaction. The cost of inaction is immense. Every delayed policy or new drilling permit locks in additional emissions. The UNEP Emissions Gap Report warns current commitments could lead to warming of 2.6 degrees Celsius to 3.1 degrees Celsius by 2100. To stay under 2 degrees Celsius, emissions must drop by 43% by 2030. Yet policies in place project a 16% increase. The gap is widening. Even the EU, a climate leader, faces challenges. While emissions dropped 8% in 2023, internal political backlash and economic strain threaten future progress. Green Deal fatigue and far-right opposition erode the political will needed for bold climate action. Warming beyond 2 degrees Celsius threatens catastrophic impacts: collapsing ice sheets, more intense heat waves, stronger storms, and destabilized food systems. Tipping points, like permafrost thaw or disrupted ocean currents, could trigger runaway effects beyond human control. CO2 levels now exceed 426 parts per million. If trends continue, we could reach 464 parts per million by 2035, a level unseen in human history. This retreat isn't accidental, it's calculated. choosing short-term gains over collective safety is steering us toward a planet 3 degrees Celsius warmer or more. This is a path of profound injustice, placing the highest burden on the most vulnerable and future generations. At the heart lies a tension between economic growth and climate stability. For much of industrial history, growth meant burning more fossil fuels. Recently, some nations like the UK and Germany have managed to grow GDP while reducing emissions. But globally, emissions rise as developing nations follow carbon-intensive paths once taken by the West. Even in decoupling nations, progress is too slow. This tension prompts difficult questions. Can we grow the economy while cutting emissions fast enough? Some call for degrowth in wealthy nations, others for massive clean energy investment. Either way, minor tweaks to business as usual won't cut it. A fundamental economic shift is needed. Despite decades of clear warnings and better models, emissions have doubled, not fallen. The 2020s are on track to be the hottest decade yet. We have the tools, solar, wind, EVs, storage, but not the political will. We're burning through the carbon budget for 2.5 degrees Celsius plus warming. The window for a gradual transition is closing. What's left is rapid, disruptive change or catastrophic heat. Still, we must not despair. If the battle through official channels is lost, the war can still be won by grassroots resilience, personal adaptation, AI-guided insight, and social movements that refuse to accept collapse as destiny. The climate story must be reframed, not just as threat, but as opportunity to live better, more connected lives. Young people feel this deeply. A 2021 global study found 59% of youth are extremely worried about climate change. 75% find the future frightening. This anxiety risks creating apathy if the movement focuses only on catastrophe. Instead, it must emphasize hope, agency, and a livable path forward. Reconnecting with deeper traditions of listening through nature, spirituality, and cultural wisdom can restore meaning and resilience. Indigenous teachings and religious leaders all point toward harmony with nature, humility, and interdependence. These voices remind us of the values we need to confront climate change. We must also remember that Earth is one system. Emissions cross borders. Nationalism, when weaponized, fragments global cooperation. Climate solutions require shared responsibility, global equity, and respect for the diverse wisdom of all peoples. Collaboration, not competition, must define the path forward. Technology, especially AI, offers new hope. With it, we can reduce labor burdens, create time for civic life, and reimagine a society where people are free to care about long-term challenges. Research shows that shorter work weeks reduce emissions. Trials in the UK, Iceland, and Japan prove productivity can remain high with less work and more rest. European societies prioritizing social safety nets, work-life balance, and sustainability emit far less per capita than the US. Their model shows that a good life doesn't require relentless consumption. American youth, too, are shifting values, embracing balance, mental health, and purposeful work over traditional success metrics. Adaptation, while vital, is not enough. Social movements are essential to challenge entrenched powers. From direct action to litigation, local organizing to global protests, climate movements are reshaping what's politically possible. History shows such efforts can drive massive change. Victory will come not from within the halls of power, but from the people demanding a better future, built on resilience, justice, and courage. The world we leave behind will depend on the strength of our collective refusal to accept collapse. Let that refusal define the generation that turned the tide.